review and planning meetings, an annual agony or empowering experience. However you feel about them, they're here to stay. So how do you make them work for you? Meet Denise Inwood, a former deputy head and now a performance management trainer. She believes effective performance management can make all the difference.
I believe that performance management is the powerhouse for school and individual professional improvement. It's the place where discussion and dialogue can occur that helps both the individual to grow and the individual to recognise how they can support the needs of the developments of the organisation.
Denise has been working with staff at Ash Manor School in a quest to perfect their performance management process. Bob Linnell is head teacher at the school. Janice Treasure is one of the deputy heads. Andy Morgan is head of science. And John Matthews, history teacher and head of humanities. In the last two programmes, Denise put our teachers through their performance management paces. They had a lesson in how not to do it.
That's just an appalling process.
They thoroughly dissected the review process.
Space used for the meeting is confidential, calm and uncluttered.
And reflected on their own techniques.
I think that's I mean, yes, you would do that.
Now it's time for the teachers to put what they've learnt into practice as they carry out their own review meetings. First will be Bob reviewing Andy.
Working with Denise has definitely made me think about the importance of preparation before the interview and being able to reflect on my practice and working out where I am in terms of my career and where I want to go forwards from there.
Bob is clearly a very experienced reviewer, and it would be really good to see how he supports Andy in drawing out some of the critical issues, the highlights, the low points, and the next professional steps for Andy during this process.
Morning, Andy.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
And you?
Come and take a seat.
Thank you very much.
Not only was the greeting welcoming, but the environment's welcoming as well. We've got comfortable chairs, we've got them well positioned so they're not actually opposite one another. Andy's actually got more space so he can spread himself out, and visually the environment is clear.
You've been very kind and you've made sure that I've got all the evidence that I've needed throughout the year, so I've got a copy of that. And also your particular targets that we're going to discuss in a moment.
That's affirming for Andy, because what Bob's doing here is confirming that he's got everything that they've gathered over the year, that he's well prepared, that he's thought about it, which obviously gives Andy confidence and makes Andy feel that, that he's being valued.
I thought we'd start by you just talking me through how you feel that the year has gone for you.
That's a big question, isn't it? The year has gone... Obviously, I start my thought process with the results, because that's something that I feel very, very deeply about, and the results this year were a little bit disappointing.
So it's a very useful way to start a review meeting, to give the reviewee an opportunity to just reflect on the year in a very open and unstructured way.
We then went through a process of trying to work out why the results weren't exactly as we wanted to, and have tried to put some things into place to try and obviously sort that problem out.
Can you just talk me through a few of the highlights of the year for you? Because I'd like to hear the highlights to begin with, I think.
And at that point, Bob sees an opportunity to pull the professional dialogue into a clear focus about, in this instance, the highlights as Andy sees them for the year.
Highlights for me personally, in terms of schoolwork, I went on a conference, I suppose it was around May time, and picked up some really good ideas about raising achievement for Year 11. Was able to bring those back in, spread them around the school, and we actually took on a whole school initiative about targeting particular pupils that we wanted to make sure they got their A-star to Cs, and I really enjoyed that. That was a really positive thing.
That's something you're really happy with, obviously,
yes.
I can tell.
Yeah.
He's placed his own work in the bigger picture as far as the school organisation is concerned.
Overseeing the selection and introduction of a new GCSE specification.
Yes.
Which is to enable pupils, as you've written here, to access and achieve whatever their ability.
Yes, very important.
Now, what progress do you think you've made on against this target?
I think we've made quite a lot of progress. We obviously, first of all, we had no choice. We had to make a change because of the change to the GCSE specifications. Right. We had to make a change.
Now, that's quite an interesting and quite a challenging point for discussion, because what we're talking about here is a judgment.
we looked around, went on courses to find the one that we thought had the most flexibility and suited our pupils.
Can I just ask you for a clarification of who we was in that conversation?
Yes, you can. I went on some courses, and my second in department also went on some courses, who has responsibility for Key Stage 4.
And it'd be interesting to see whether Bob actually challenges that and asks him for clarification on how that judgment was made.
But, you know, have you calculated the risk of this going not as well as you expected?
The way I would view it would be we could have some really positive impact,
right,
but any change always has risk. Now, I believe that we chose the right course to have the positive impact.
Andy's clearly very confident here, talking very openly to Bob, using hand gestures that demonstrate that he's got more to say. He's rolling his hand.
Schemes of work, are they in place?
I've given you a selection to look at, but I obviously couldn't give you the scheme of work for the whole course. It would cover everything. But if you want to come down to the department at some time, say tomorrow, and we can check and you can look and make sure that they're all there.
But what Andy is doing, and I'm sure what Andy will have done through the year, is made it quite clear to Bob that at any point he wants to come and look at an extension of that evidence, he's very welcome to do so.
I'm really pleased with what's going on, and I'd be grateful if you'd also communicate that to some of your colleagues.
Certainly will.
And we'll meet again in the not-too-distant future to review these targets partway through the year.
There's a strong sense here that Bob is affirming the achievement, and he's making it quite clear, both with his body language, his eye contact, his hand gestures, and with the content, that he is saying to Andy, this is signed off. We can agree that this objective has actually been met. Can I come in?
You certainly can.
Thank you. Can I sit down? Thank you. I'd like to begin by saying I thought your welcome, Bob, was lovely. It was very warm, and you, Andy, clearly feel very comfortable in Bob's company because there is immediately a relaxed atmosphere in here. And that's quite an important thing for a reviewer to actually be able to create for the reviewee. Obviously, I saw the review from the perspective of an observer, but can I just ask how you feel that review went as a reviewee, Andy?
I thought it went very well. I was able to discuss everything that I felt was important to me. We looked at targets from last year and whether or not I'd achieved them. I felt very supportive through the whole process, didn't feel under any threat whatsoever, and I think the targets for next year will also be ones that I'm able to work on and will develop me as a teacher.
It is a professional dialogue. I felt that we were well prepared for that. We had the documentation to hand, and we were able to take the agenda further forward to mutual benefit.
Next, it's time for Deputy Head Janice to carry out her review with John.
I'm really looking forward to my review that I'm about to have. I feel really energised, the training has really helped, and I've had a chance to look at last year's objectives, and I feel I can focus on the way forward.
I think working with Denise and carrying out the exercises with her has really made me think about, one, the environment that I conduct my reviews in. I can be a bit untidy, so I've really made an effort in getting everything uncluttered so that we can really focus on the review.
As a senior member of staff, Janice clearly values her role as a reviewer and really enjoys the opportunity to support the professional growth of the individuals that she's working with. And I'm sure we'll see that reflected in the review and planning meeting that she's about to hold with John.
Oh, hi, John.
Hi, Janice.
John has come in. He's clearly a little bit nervous. He knows Janice very well. They work very closely together, but he's feeling a little bit nervous because this is an annual review and planning meeting.
Right, nice to see you again, John. Obviously, we're here to do your annual review. So we're going to have an hour's meeting. It's going to be about an hour. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at an overview of the year where you can give me your feelings of what's gone well, what hasn't, how we can move those things on, how I can support you in those areas.
Janice is reassuring him. She's reassuring him with her body language, which is nice and open. She's reassuring him by giving structure to the meeting and setting out the expectations of the meeting. And she's reassuring him by demonstrating to him that she's well prepared.
So, just tell me about this last year then. How do you think it's gone?
Well, it's been a quite good year overall. It began relatively positively. I was pleased with our results from last year. We were up. I still feel we've got some way to go to meet our target.
He's reflected on the year. He's talked about, he was quite pleased with the GCSE results, but, there's still some way to go to achieve target. It's excellent.
What about coursework? Now, you didn't talk to me about a low in coursework and at that crucial time, but I know, because we met, that there were issues there.
The problem this year was that we still had coursework that was being given in right up to the deadline, so we were chasing some of the students at the last minute.
Janice is giving John space to actually speak. She recognises that he's well prepared. She's not having to intercept with questions and clarification. There's a clear thread to his thinking.
I've already hopefully addressed the coursework issue for next year. We've brought our coursework forward, so it will be completed by the end of year 10, which then gives us ample opportunity to perfect it, but also to chase up any pupils who haven't handed in their coursework.
We can see that things have changed quite significantly since the beginning of the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, John was quite nervous and clutching his folder and obviously feeling quite concerned about the process. And we can see now we're into a fully fluid professional dialogue.
What are you looking forward to next year? Just as the year goes on, what are you looking forward to?
I have to say I'm looking forward to taking part in the Leadership Pathways programme and really progressing with my own career at this point. Obviously I've been at the school for a little while now, and I feel I've really got my teeth into the job of head of faculty, and so I think it's time for me to look forward and move on to a fresh challenge.
John's really taken on board here the fact that this is ongoing. He recognises that this process is not something that just happens once a year. This is part of an ongoing development. And
I think that you've done really well this year, and it's been a very successful year. And I think we will build on, and really we should be looking at going for leadership roles in the next 12 months, certainly. So well done.
Thank you.
Can I come in?
Yes, of course you can.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity and the privilege of sitting in and observing your review and planning meeting. It was really excellent, terrific. Janice, you were great. I mean, your body language was excellent. It was very open, it was very warm, your eye contact was strong, and you took the time to think about what he was doing in relation to his own aspirations.
I think I really did come out feeling valued. It becomes a very positive process, and it makes you feel very confident about the year ahead. So I was really happy.
It's the end of a successful day. How do they all feel it's gone?
I think the most important thing that's come out of the whole process is that need for preparation, which is absolutely vital. The process needs to be ongoing, it needs to be continuous, but people need to be extremely well prepared for it.
I think we'll try and take on board everything that we've picked up throughout the process, and hopefully we'll make the most of it in the future.